One of the most anticipated movies of 2022, of course, is The Batman. We're getting a brand new trailer for this movie just a few weeks from now at DC Fandom. I'm super excited for that. But now, even though the movie is still months and months away, it doesn't come out until March of 2022. Supposedly, Warner Brothers and DC are already working on a sequel for the film. And if I'm being honest, this really should come as no surprise because when they started working on this movie, Matt Reeves said that they're working on a trilogy. So again, it really should be no surprise. But this news is coming from Daniel R. Piquet, who we've talked about many, many times before. His validity and reliability, especially when it comes to trailer news of like what specific times they're dropping and stuff like that. He's been correct with Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, Shang-Chi, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Black Widow, whole bunch of stuff. So now he's bringing us this news that The Batman is getting a sequel. The sequel is in development, and this is just amazing. Because that trailer we got at DC Fandom last year was so good. That's why so many people are so excited for this movie, is just because of that trailer. Like, personally for me, before I saw that trailer, I wasn't really that excited for this. I was like, oh, another Batman movie. But then I saw that trailer, and it just blew my mind because it just looks like such a good movie with such this crazy reinvention of the Batman character and also his villains. So of course it warrants a sequel, especially how I did a video breaking down this I think probably like a month ago now, where there was I don't remember if it was like a fan screening or a critic screening, but there was some sort of screening for the Batman, and there were people doing reactions on Twitter. And there was somebody that said that there is just this mind-blowing, just jaw-dropping moment at the end of this movie that sets up this franchise and this trilogy of the Batman. So, again, clearly they're setting up stuff, and we're getting this whole franchise. Now, the only question is, with the Batman 2, what are we getting from it? Because, of course, the first Batman movie, this is not an origin movie. This is 2 years into Batman's career. He's still a rookie, but it's not like him becoming Batman, and we're battling the Riddler. And then we've also got other characters like Selina Kyle as Catwoman and Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, who are just starting their journeys on becoming villains, which I'm really excited to see as well. So who could be the villain of the second movie? Because that's definitely the big thing I think about, because I love villains, especially Batman villains. He has such a rich rogues gallery. Well, Daniel R. Piquet has a little bit of an update on this, and this is just from his Patreon, this Mr. Freeze part. I just spoiled it. Sorry, Mr. Freeze. But anyway, this is just coming from his Patreon. So usually, like, if he posts something on Twitter, then that's like officially confirmed with like all his sources. If he does something just on his Patreon, then that usually means that it's something he's heard, but he hasn't confirmed it with his sources. So I guess just consider this rumor for now and take it with a grain of salt. But he is saying that Mr. Freeze will be the villain of the Batman 2, which, yes, please sign me up right now. That sounds so good. I love Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is such a good character. And obviously we've seen him in live action multiple times before. Of course, as Arnold Schwarzenegger in Batman and Robin, which was just, they did not at all do the character justice. There's a pretty good version of Mr. Freeze on Gotham. And supposedly we're also going to be seeing a version of the character on the upcoming season of Batwoman. But I really, really want to see Mr. Freeze in the Batman franchise, because just seeing, based off that trailer for the first movie, how well Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson understand the character of Batman and his villains, it makes me want to see their adaptation of Mr. Freeze. Because Mr. Freeze is a character that deserves to finally be done justice. Again, he's just such a good character. He's such a complex character, because that's a big thing that we've been seeing in superhero movies over the past couple years, is where you're starting to see that the villains of these movies aren't always just straight up, I'm evil because I want power and I want to be evil. You're starting to see these villains' motivations, and you actually kind of start to sympathize them, especially going back to something like Joker, where he was a really bad guy, but you felt bad for him. And now, if this is the case, you're going to feel that same thing for Mr. Freeze, because he's such a tragic character, such a tragic origin, and like, yes, he's a criminal, yes, he does bad things, but he's all doing it just so he can try to save his wife, Nora. And it's just such a good story. I love it so much, and I would love to see that for the Batman 2. I think it would just work so well. And I would just love to see it. And one thing that I'm wondering about, like, why they would do Mr. Freeze is because we do know that this new Matt Reeves, the Batman universe, because it doesn't take place in the main DCEU, is definitely much more grounded. Very similar to, like, the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight films, where they were very, very grounded. None of the characters in those movies had, like, super crazy superpowers. Like, the Batmobile was literally just like a military tank, basically. So it seems like we're getting something similar along those lines in the Batman franchise, just seeing things in that first trailer. But I do think that we're going to take it up a notch here and do include some metahuman type characters, which also gets me excited to see hopefully some other cool superpowered characters in the future of this franchise, like maybe a Clayface or a Killer Croc. Again, there's just so many possibilities with this, and it seems like Warner Brothers and DC is finally giving us what we want from a Batman franchise, and I'm so excited for it because there's just so much that can be done here. And again, we haven't even seen the first movie, but already, apparently they're confident enough in this for a sequel to be in development, and I'm so excited. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this news that the Batman is getting a sequel in active development, and what do you want to see from the sequel, even though we still haven't seen the first movie yet? Are you excited that we could possibly be seeing Mr. Freeze as the villain? And if not, then what other villains would you like to see in the future of this franchise? But for now, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.